Israel finds itself at a critical juncture, facing the ominous prospect of a multi-front war. The nation is on high alert, bracing for potential attacks from Iran and its allies, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. The IDF is preparing for various scenarios, including missile attacks on civilian centers, cyber warfare, and ground incursions. Schools are conducting security drills, bomb shelters are being inspected, and citizens are being urged to remain vigilant. The government is determined to project an image of strength and resilience, but the underlying tension is undeniable. The current state of high alert is a stark reminder of the volatile security situation in the Middle East. The coming days and weeks will be crucial in determining whether the situation escalates into a full-blown conflict or if diplomatic efforts can avert disaster. As tensions escalate in the Middle East, the United States is actively engaged in efforts to build a coalition to counter potential threats from Iran and its allies. The Biden administration is engaging in diplomatic outreach to regional partners, including Arab states and European allies, to garner support for a united front. The goal is to send a clear message to Iran that any attacks on Israel or its interests will be met with a swift and decisive response. Some US allies are hesitant to be drawn into a conflict with Iran, fearing potential repercussions. Despite these obstacles, the US remains committed to working with its partners to deter Iranian aggression and maintain stability in the region. The success of these efforts will depend on the ability of the US to bridge differences and build a united front capable of deterring conflict. The current escalation in tensions between Israel and Iran is rooted in a complex web of historical grievances, geopolitical rivalries, and recent events. One of the primary drivers of tension is Iran's nuclear program. Israel views Iran's nuclear ambitions as an existential threat, fearing that Tehran seeks to develop nuclear weapons that could be used against the Jewish state. Another key factor is Iran's support for militant groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. These groups are committed to Israel's destruction and have engaged in numerous attacks against Israeli targets over the years. The recent targeted killings of prominent Iranian military figures, widely attributed to Israel, have significantly inflamed tensions. Iran has vowed revenge for these killings, raising fears of retaliatory attacks against Israeli interests. Faced with the growing threat of a multi-front war, Israel is taking comprehensive measures to prepare for a potential conflict. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, are on high alert, conducting military exercises, reinforcing border defenses, and deploying additional troops to strategic locations. One of Israel's primary concerns is the possibility of a massive missile attack from Hezbollah in Lebanon. The IDF is bolstering its missile defense systems, including the Iron Dome and David's Sling, to intercept incoming projectiles. In addition to conventional military threats, Israel is also preparing for the possibility of cyber attacks and terrorist attacks on civilian targets. The Israeli government is working to strengthen cybersecurity defenses and is urging citizens to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity. The potential implications of an all-out war are dire, with significant casualties and economic consequences. As tensions reach a fever pitch, a fragile diplomatic dance is underway in a desperate attempt to avert a catastrophic war. International actors, including the United States, European powers, and Arab states, are engaged in frantic efforts to de-escalate the situation and find a peaceful resolution. The Biden administration is leading the diplomatic charge, engaging in shuttle diplomacy with Israeli and Arab leaders. However, these efforts face significant obstacles. One of the main challenges is the deep mistrust between the parties involved. Moreover, there are hardliners on all sides who are opposed to any compromise and are actively working to sabotage diplomatic efforts. Finding a solution that addresses these fundamental issues will require significant concessions from all sides, something that seems unlikely given the current climate. While the geopolitical ramifications of a potential war in the Middle East are undeniably significant, it is crucial to remember the human cost of such a conflict. Behind the headlines and political posturing are millions of innocent people whose lives would be upended by violence and bloodshed. In Israel, civilians are already feeling the strain of heightened tensions. The constant threat of attack has created a climate of fear and uncertainty. The situation is even more dire in Gaza, where the civilian population is already suffering from a humanitarian crisis. A new war would only exacerbate this suffering, leading to further casualties and displacement. The international community has a moral obligation to do everything in its power to prevent a war that would have devastating consequences for millions of people.